And if you're watching this while working in your own studio, I hope it gives you permission to stay simple, to slow down, to be intentional, to work from your heart and find your passion for your work, because this is the way we're going to get to our real work. Let the smallest things you're working on be the most important thing that you work with today, because sometimes the quietest of objects are the ones that hold the most power and keep our manifestations and directions going forward. I'm Susan Lennart, and I'm a builder of talisman, and you're welcome to my studio, and please enjoy the whole working process of building my talisman and ceremonial pieces. So ahead of time, they're not polished. I rolled them through the rolling mill. I have a leaf print on here. You know, I kind of have to even up the sides, press up the sides, decide if I'm going to put a gem on there. I might put a gem on the back. You know, I can embellish this any way I want to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the back of this, and this is what I'm going to be working on. You guys are welcome to stay and just see my whole process in my studio today. Remember, this is the outside, so I want to put my print on the outside. I don't want to, you know, the nice thing is if my fiber comes out too far, I'm going to show you from this end. If this crochet comes out too far, I can just work it in a little bit. And even if I rivet it down right here, you know, I want to be able to fold this piece in half. It doesn't matter if everything's lined up. I'm going to put my rivets in down here. I can do a solder if I wanted to, but it actually is so much easier to do a rivet through here and have it stay. So I think that's what I'm going to work on today. See how the front will look? I mean, once it's cleaned up, it still is, still is dirty and all that. It has to be cleaned. But this literally, I'm going to fold in half, create space, solder solder something onto the end of here once I have it folded. So these both can work to connect together. One thing I know when I have this big of an ending on here, when I have like 2 inches to close. One little closure in the middle isn't going to make sense. So one thing I do know, and I'll talk more about that today or another day, you know, just about how I'm solving problems with putting endings on, because the endings are just as important as the beginnings, right? Even though they're in the back and you don't see them, it's incredible to wear your hair up and have an absolute amazing back to your piece, right? Dripping with gems or whatever I want to do with. So, you know, I'm just going to move forward, not put myself under pressure, and I'm just going to get my piece folded over and riveted. So that's what I'm going to work on now. So in my advice to you, if you are thinking about, no matter what type of an artist you are, if you're building a talisman piece, you know, it's like such a trigger piece that I'm eventually going to keep with me. No matter it looks beautiful or ugly, it's my feeling of talisman. The more you stay in and listen to some of the talks that I'll be talking about, I'll be actually addressing subjects as like how to awake yourself, you know, as when you're dull, how to bring your passion into your work, how to bring your love into your work, how to align to your work, how to, you know, really follow through and just do your real work. Because when you do, that's when the real magic happens. And first of all, what happens is you get such clarity on what you want to build and where you're going to go. Second, what happens is you start getting aligned, and you start really feeling like you're on the right track. And then you start getting, so you have alignment, then you start getting passion. And believe me, as an artist, passion, as a person, passion is everything. How do you get a passion for your life, right? How do you get a passion for your work, for your life? How do you get that passion? And that's what I'm all about here, you know, like really working through. One thing I knew, my studies are a lot from when I was in my 20s and I built a company that was so successful. And again, you know, I'm feeling my passionate work come up. But I did know that my secret nectar was moving toward my passion. And that's the type of courses that I teach in pathfinding. It's a type of body of work that I teach. Is like just doing your work, getting in your studio 3 times a week and finding your passion. Every single person has a different direction, which is really cool. I love this subject. So for me, the most important thing as an artist is finding your passion. So once you find your passion, then you actually become a magnet. So it's like you become a magnet and your people can find you, right? So when you're so clear, so aligned, you're working intentionally, you're working on pieces that you love with your passion, you become magnetic. And people are attracted to you and you're attracted to your own people. And this is the way it works as an artist. When your work is in flow and everybody's chasing you and wants your work, that's because you're aligned. So it's really important to get back there again. And then after that comes success. Of course, success. Your money flows, your time flows, your happiness flows, and we're defining success as flow. You know, really being in the flow, managing your life beautifully, being happy, being abundant in all ways, you know, getting enough sleep. I love to sleep and dream my pieces. So I'm just going to be in here, working in my studio, working in flow, working in Metalsmith. So you're welcome to stay and just watch me. I'll pop up and fill you in and show you things close up. Okay. These are my binoculars. These are craft optics. If you guys decide to get craft optics in your life, I love them because they put your own prescription in here. You can, it's Susan Lenart. You can use Susan Lenart, SUSAN, LENART, and I think you get like a 10 or 20% discount in there. So it also lights up. I've got a light here. Let me get it turned on. So especially when I am, okay, there we go. Especially when I am, you guys are not going to like this, but I'll show you. Here's my light, and it points downward. So especially with the jeweler saw, I really love, you know, sometimes I have to get with my jeweler saw, I love cutting with this light. When I'm working close up, I love it. So I don't like being 1 minute away from my optivisors. Cute, right? Okay. Okay. I'm going to get these squared off. It's like a Scotch-Brite wheel that I use. It's so easy to work with because it just takes off a little bit of the edges. Now you guys, right now at this time, some people might watch this later, but right now at this time, silver is up sky high. So I absolutely can work just as easily and fluently with brass or bronze. Love both of them. And there's so much material, and I have a feeling there's going to be more, so it's going to be easier for us to work with brass or bronze. But you know, so in another video, not today, this is sterling silver, and I really wanted to get this piece finished up with sterling silver. But in the next video that I either have in here now, I don't have it yet, but if you're watching it with current time, I'm going to have another one in there. I'm going to show you this beautiful solder that I have to work with bronze or brass, and that's coming too, and how to work with it, and you know, everything about it. I'll show you in person, real time. One thing I want to mention, you guys, is if you like this video or the way I'm doing, please subscribe. I have so many people on here that don't subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, give me a hype, give me a comment. That would really help everything that I do, and it helped me put these videos out there. So that I would appreciate that. So I'm the creative collective, Susan Lenart, and it really is about being about the good of the whole as we develop our creativity and put it into our silversmithing, our artwork, or anything that we do. Make sense? Okay. All right, let me get a line down the middle. I'll bet on my markers, I'll use this. Okay. It doesn't have to be a perfect fold, but I just did a little line. Oops. Oh, another thing I did was I just kind of cleaned up the sharp edges. I love sharp edges in my work. In fact, I'm doing a whole botanical series that'll probably be attached to this. Love sharp edges, the way they look, but I don't like the way they feel. So I definitely rounded off the edges. And here's where I'm gonna fold them in half. So I kind of want to create a little space inside here, negative space, a hollowed out space so I can fold it over. That's like the point of this. So I'm just gonna get in and create a mark in here. Right on my space. Slowly but surely. I'll show you my tool in a minute that I'm using. Okay. I use one hammer almost all the time. And this is a forging hammer, has a little bit of a round edge. Love it. And here is the divots that I made on the inside with this type of tool. This is a chasing tool. And I just put, you know, some negative space in here. You can see it from the side. This is gonna make it even and so nice when I fold these over. Okay. Let me get these annealed. Okay. Come back over here. So now you can see it better. I actually have this annealed. You can see the crease in the middle. I'm just going to grab my pliers right here and fold this over on one side and then bring it to the other side and fold it over. This will give, I don't have to have it cleaned up. This will give me a really nice fold that's nice and even. I just let my tools do the work. I'm not using my carpal. I'm not using my wrists. I don't want to damage my carpals. So all my work, I let the tools do the work, really. I'm hardly squeezing it. This is going to be a nice fold over. So that's a secret, is work with a nice anvil so you don't have to ruin your hands. Beautiful. I'll get the other one done and then I'll show you. Okay. I annealed them. They're a little bit work hardened, but they're closer, so I can see where the edge is. You know, my edge is going to be a little bit rounder. I like round. I can make sure my ends are polished. So right here, this is going to sit this way. They'll be sitting at the end. These are actually for this reason. You can see how this is going to start coming together. You know, once I get all the riveting done, I'm going to have these two beautiful endings on here. Voila. Be beautiful on each end, so I can solder my hooks, I can solder my attachments on here, I can make a decision on what I'm going to do with this and how I'm going to attach it. So I'm going to be working on that, but I wanted to show you them. It's a simple. So I used to repair ethnographic jewelry. If you don't know, if you're new to my channel and don't really know my background, I spent years traveling around the world studying talisman. And I'll tell you more stories of those later. But I have learned so many things from so many different cultures. And oops, I'm blinding you with light. And you know, in every single culture, we have talisman. That's so interesting to me. And so I really work with talisman in the way that, oops, hang on, there we go. So I work with talisman. I build my talisman in the same way that I have built lines of talisman that worked with Disney and went into corporate, and I built lines of talisman that went into our Smithsonian, which is our United States big museum in Washington. So that was pretty cool. I do high and low and runway and everything in there. So this is the way, when I was repairing ethnographic jewelry, I saw pieces that lasted through time. So a lot of my work comes from studying ancient ways of attaching and doing it the same way of pieces that lasted forever. And I also want to say to you guys, if you guys want to go deeper into your work as an artist, I have a membership. If you're still watching this now, I want to say I have a membership. It's called Unfolding. It's you know, it's a very, very low fee. We have a community in there, and I really help you grow with your own personal work, which I call the talisman, you know, of your own personal work. If I have 1,000, when I have 1,000 people in my audience, every single person, when you follow your heart, get into your passion and build your talisman, every single person has their own personal vision. And that's the way it works in art. We never compete with each other. We're always, you know, we always can be a good support system to each other. You know, we all work in our different direction. So I'm going to go ahead and get these things kind of folded over, show you how it looks, and I'm going to then think about what kind of attachments that I want to do on here. But definitely think about subscribing. You can find it in the profile. Okay. These are very, very gentle hits. I kind of want to hit it with my hammer, but I could do a rubber mallet if I didn't want any marks on here. So now I'm just going to make sure I can open it back up again. Okay. I don't want it all the way sealed. Okay. I'm going to do some more soldering on here, but I'll show you what it's going to look like. I'll trim out this edge. Once I get my rivets in, I'll hold them close to the edge. But this is going to be so beautiful. See how nice that is? So I think what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3. I might just put 3 jump rings on here, because I could do 3 jump rings and then just do a lobster claw, or I can do French hooks, or I can do what? Like, this is where your imagination can come in. What would you put on the end of your piece that can really make your piece different. So that's what I do too, is every step of the way, I'm always thinking what would be the best ending on here, you know, the most efficient, that wouldn't fall off, that would be great. Necklaces, I don't worry about falling off. It's bracelets that are troublesome. You know, and here, this is going to turn all the way around. I'm going to have my beautiful end here. But I don't, you know, for really, there's going to be chain hanging on the one of them. But it's going to be hard to figure out how much chain to leave with each piece, right? So I do want to make it simple. I might actually just turn it into 2 pieces. I think it will sit even. The thing I want is when it sits side by side, that both of my pieces will sit evenly. Because I love the way pieces like this, my ceremonial pieces are not only to wear, but they are for hanging on the wall, putting on a coffee table, right? I make displays with these pieces. So this part of it is important too, you know, about the presentation of it. So in so many ways, I think about that too. So think about that if you're doing your ceremonial work. My presentation is getting closer. Whoops. Whoops. Once the pieces are on, there'll be more balance with it. But see? So this will need to sit, remember when I measured it, I need it like 1.5 inches apart. So I have to, you know, so I have room to put in for adjustments. I have room for fatter necks, slimmer necks, muscly necks, short necks, like all that I'll have room for. In fact, I mean, just this back piece is set in stone down the back of your neck. So the front, I can roll, if somebody had a, you know, a shorter neck, you can roll these down farther and farther. So it can really fit anyone who's ready to wear this piece. I do want to do some soldering. You know, I could do an easy, I could show you how to rivet it in right now. I do have other videos on riveting, but now what I want to do is really get my closures in here and ready to go. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a French hook, or like a hook out of jewelry, you know, on one end, like on this end. There'll be 2 hooks, but I'll probably have like a couple jump rings on here, so there's room for it to move around. It's so hard when everything's stiff. In fact, I told you I did ethnographic jewelry repair, and the jewelry that fell apart quickly or decomposed or just dissolved, you know, the metal dissolved in the earth through time, were pieces that didn't have any movement. So if you know my jewelry, I have a lot of movement in my jewelry, and it's for the reason that, you know, it's the reason that actually you know, you have movement so it lasts longer. They're like hinges. Hinges is the secret to longevity, at least in jewelry. So really, you guys, I kind of just wanted to talk to you guys today about building your body of work, building your talisman pieces, building pieces that matter, getting back into your passion, you know, and how to do that type of work. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and yeah, join me. Come on into my membership if you like it. Make sure you subscribe here, and there'll be more to come. Let me know how you like it. Okay, thanks for joining. Bye.